Good evening, dear friends, and Assalamu alaikum. All those friends who are worried about recent skirmishes on control line over Kashmir between India and Pakistan, uh, I have to, I did fulfill my responsibility. In previous two videos, I came up with a free analysis for Indian government, which I'm not supposed to do. But for humanitarian, uh, I mean, for sake of humanity, I did that. And besides, the fact is that as an individual, you can change your neighbors in your own country, in your own city. If you're not satisfied with the behavior of your neighbors, you can change your residence. If you own the residence, you can sell it. If you are living in a rented building, you can just leave it and you can shift to another rented building. But for countries, it is really difficult to change. Uh, Rather, it is impossible to change the neighbors. Why do I try to help our Indian neighbors in resolving their problems of political nature? The fact is that we have unstable Afghanistan at our western front, and we cannot afford to have uh, unstable India at our eastern front. Maybe front is not the right word, but that has become a front because the attacks are going on Pakistan armed forces. During past 3 days, rather during past 1 week, there were more than two attacks from Afghanistan. One was probably in Mehman Agency, and then there were clashes on line of control. It is all because of the neglect of our political elite in subcontinent. Social sciences were neglected here. So we don't have uh, literate leadership, which is required for every state. But we, both India and Pakistan, we are nuclear states. So since long the stress was on natural sciences in both these countries. And what to think of Afghanistan? They are constant victim of invasion. Then extremism. They were in a grip of extremism. Their universities were closed down. Finally, everything has been restored by our great American friends there. They came there under UN umbrella. They are still there. it is really difficult to maintain the level of communication at a specific standard which is required, especially with India. Though they do have social sciences faculties in their universities, we do have social sciences faculties in our universities, but the whole world is witness to everything which is going on. I mean, on trivial issues, uh, now both nuclear powers, India and Pakistan, are almost at a confrontational path. India is deploying its troops on Pakistani border, and Pakistan has started responding in the same coin. As I have mentioned earlier, that and ironically, uh, those students of various universities in USA and uh, even their political elite, the feedback which is coming to me, they are at par with me. But here in subcontinent, the feedback of my previous video lectures, which I am receiving uh, within subcontinent, that is hilarious. I do profess, which is a fact recognized by UN, and the UN committee is there to observe all that, that observance of the civil and economic rights of the people by political elite, especially those who are ruling these states around the world, that is there or not. Because that is the standard. You can remove extremism of any sort if you are in a mood to give civil and economic rights to your people. Well, once you give civil rights to your people, it means they can decide all their disputes through ballot. And if their economic rights are being protected, then you can have a frustration-free society. I have reached to these conclusions after carefully going through the facts about post-Second World War Europe. Europe is now more inclined towards integration, towards peace, towards development, towards welfare of the masses. Even East European countries, they are now moving on the path of democracy and are giving civil and economic rights to their people. Students of history, they know what was happening in Europe during Second World War. My own observation is that with the spread of democracy in Europe, they are now, I mean, they cannot even think about Third World War, though they are same Europeans who were at loggerhead with each other during Second World War and in First World War. Why it is so? What is so special in democracy, and how it can change the minds of the people? Well, in Europe, everybody almost know the answer because they can feel it, they can experience it. They are already experiencing it. But here in subcontinent, it is still a big question in the mind of everybody. I'll try to answer that. Democracy, in true sense, gives a fair way to the people living in a society to act in a transparent manner. Free media, independent judiciary, system of checks and balances in federations, that guarantees transparency in the system. And once the system is transparent, there is no frustration among the people. That is one point. Then the magic of democracy is that it gives you equality. In Europe, that can be seen. In America, evolution is still going on there. African Americans, they have got their rights. One of African American became the President of United States of America. Democracy gives the room for improvement. People can politely fight for their rights through ballot. It takes you away from bullets. So, in subcontinent, my utmost effort is that especially our leadership here, if gets the point, because our people are very democratic in nature as far as Pakistanis and Indians are concerned. They are brilliant, I know. Even today, that so much bloodshed was done on control line, people of India and Pakistan are not furious against each other. They know why it is going on. Then there is one thing more which is quite important, that we say that if there is a will, there is a way. Afghanistan is on a path of democracy now because the efforts of United States of America and its Western allies. The democracy is there. India is the largest democracy in the world, but the problem is that during past 69 years of independence, though democracy was there in India, but that traditional concept of democracy, that rule of the people, by the people and for the people, that is not there. Because of the cultural reasons and because of the laziness of certain literate leaders who were reluctant to make necessary changes in the constitution, and the changes which are required in Indian and Pakistani constitution are the same. Here we have the problem of two implementation of two different concepts. Great Britain is a classic example of parliamentary democracy, which is workable in unitary system. America is a federation of 50 states. And USA is having presidential form of government. We Pakistanis and Indians are federations, but we are having parliamentary democracy, which simply means there is no check on majority rule. Though in Pakistan efforts are being made and the Senate is having at least that principle of equal representation has been observed here in Pakistani Senate. And it is same in the Indian Senate too, which is called Rajya Sabha. But the problem is with the powers of the both houses, because in USA, Senate and House of Representatives both are having almost equal powers. So the small states, their interest is being protected in the Senate. They cannot be exploited by the large states. They cannot be bullied by the large states. Here in Pakistan and India, we don't have any such arrangement. Then, as I have narrated earlier, that we have political parties without democracy in it. it really sounds very funny that there is a leader who talks about democracy and fundamental rights and is unwilling to hold any sort of elections within his own political party and is making it a hereditary institution, which is really funny. And weak people, they are suffering a lot because even when such a hereditary leader of a hereditary political institution comes into power after elections, then he expects from bureaucracy, from military, from everyone that they will come and they will take oath of allegiance to him. Actually, in democracy, everybody is loyal to the constitution and to the state. And in democracy, freedom of expression is also there, so people can criticize each other uh, and in good faith. If the criticism is in good faith, everybody improves him or herself in the light of that criticism. By this way, things move. But here in Pakistan and India, the one who becomes a prime minister becomes a hereditary monarch. And people, they do lose their jobs, especially in bureaucracy, if they do not go and take oath of allegiance to uh, the elected prime minister of the country, individually and private, because constitution does not provide for any such arrangement. So what is happening between India and Pakistan is now that conspiracy was hatched to bring down the nuclear power Pakistan. So with the arrival of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in power, one year was passed, 1 year and few months were passed in a normal fashion. But then suddenly, as I observed, I don't know whether it is in his notice or not, but those who are educated or those who are more educated there among their colleagues, they were suddenly being thrown out in a very illegal and unconstitutional manner from their jobs. And then there was obviously, when you throw education out from bureaucracy, there was deterioration in law and order situation, especially in two small provinces, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And then that deterioration was also extended to larger provinces of Punjab and Sindh. And then finally, a week ago, India came up with uh, attack on Pakistan armed forces on control line. And inside occupied Kashmir, atrocities against people of Kashmir were also being increased by Indian army. All those who think that uh, Pakistan can be brought down by buying few people, well, we the educated few, okay, I'm off duty, but I'm doing my duty. My salary has been stopped. All the efforts are being made to make me frustrated and disgruntled. And normally, those who are not so literate, they lose interest in their own country. But I never did that. Many like me are doing the same. We are still in touch with our respective departments. I do off and on work as a consultant for them freely. And I never make them realize that I'm doing all this. In just in a gossiping manner, I keep on helping them out. And now situation in my province in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is under control. Even in Karachi, I made certain suggestions, and their situation is quite under control. Under control means control not in a negative sense. I mean, all their liberties, the liberties of the people are there. But those who shall be controlled, because outlaws and those who are running torture cells and funny creatures trying to impose themselves as leaders upon the people by force, after taking their national identity cards away from them and making them hear their sermons or lectures, that thing is no more there in Karachi now and Sindh. So we are a rich country, and for jobs we don't. Our loyalties are not for jobs with our country. We love our country. We have properties here. We have families here, and we will defend it. Even as a journalist, I was so discouraged by my own organization that my 10 years remuneration is still there and is not being paid to me. And I'm still working for them. An American friend of mine recently had questioned me on Facebook that why you are working for them then? If they don't pay you. And I smiled and I said, okay, uh, it is abhorrent to American mind, their loyalties where their country is because their country gives them their civil and economic rights. We are just in love with our country. That's why, even if we don't have any rights, We love our country. That is something divine, really. General Sherry, that is that is something. Uh, I mean, we have attachment with our soil, but still, I insist to my own government that they shall restore the civil and economic rights of the people. And I do suggest to the Indian government too, because without it, I mean, people are too mature and everybody is not so well off. I mean, people are very realistic. If they're not being protected in their own country, if their rights are being snatched, mostly they do not remain loyal to their country. So the prudent way is that we shall also follow the footsteps of Americans and Europeans. They came up with the welfare state. Even if their people are unemployed, they are getting their allowances, unemployment allowances in their homes. They are all very happy with their country. Nobody comes to be fooled there. Uh, Here, some of the politicians, they are talking about everything except the fundamental rights of the people. And now some of them are trying to create war hysteria. All those communist and social elements, I got feedback from them. As I have narrated earlier, that communist countries, they only put a stress on economic rights of the people, and they impose their one-party rule on them. Communist parties, they don't give civil rights to the people. That's why Soviet Union was disintegrated. What difference it makes when we are having both civil and economic rights? And why do we have some edge over those countries where the dictatorship is there? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we gave civil and economic rights to our people, we create environment of a healthy competition. Even people, they flourish in private sector while doing jobs there, while initiating their own private enterprises. This is happening there in United States of America. This is happening there in Europe. And in those democratic countries of Europe and even in America, once if someone is down and out, the government is there to provide uh, unemployment allowance and everything. In America, it is for certain period of time, and people, they are so honest that the moment they get another job, then they inform the concerned department that they don't need unemployment allowance anymore. So here in India and Pakistan, the leaderships, I mean, I don't want to be at at a standard which I don't want to be. I mean, I do consider all the humans equal, and ignorance is prevailing here. So I love my people whether they're ignorant or literate or whatsoever. They are humans, and we, the educated few, are here to guide them. The actual problem here in both in India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan is that there shall be a welfare system, there shall be transparency, there shall be a true democracy, there shall be a democracy within the political parties, and there shall be some changes within the constitution. I mean, we can remain loyal to our colonial uh, um, masters while having presidential form of government in Pakistan and India. I mean, we can remain in Commonwealth because our membership, I don't think that will be ended if we had opted for a presidential form of government here in Pakistan or in India, or both. What they require is democracy. The form of government, the systems of checks and balances to save the people from oppression of majority in a federation is required. To save the federation from disintegration. Pakistan had experienced that disintegration phenomena in 1971. East Pakistan was separated from us. Finally, Bengalis were not satisfied within the union, within the Pakistani union. They have opted for separation. 22 independence movements are there within India. Most prominent movements are in Nagaland, in Mizoram, and in Kashmir. Well, you cannot say movement in Kashmir as independence movement because they are resisting the occupiers. That is a fight type of thing. They are freedom fighters actually because they were taken over by India forcefully, as I have narrated in my earlier videos, that Britishers, British colonial masters, those Pakistanis and Indians, the leadership of that time, they have agreed to the formula that all Muslim majority areas will be included in Pakistan and the remaining Hindu majority areas will go to India. At that formula, that principle was violated. Indians, they had occupied half of Kashmir. Half of Kashmir is with Pakistan and the remaining is with India. That issue is there and that shall be resolved. And the international community obviously, if here the political elite will try to extend their rule over those issues and will be reluctant to resolve that, probably United Nations will take some measures because the level of atrocities in Kashmir, in occupied Kashmir, are literally quite high. In present age of internet, nobody can hide those atrocities. Though internet facilities and cell phone communication systems and all those, uh, even media, international media is being barred in occupied Kashmir by India. But still, the information is coming out, and in fact, in United States of America, there is a specific website, groundreport.com. On that, Kashmiri freedom fighters or those who are struggling to get rid of Indian occupation, though their movement is now from the last few years is quite peaceful, so they cannot be termed as militants and all that. But they are protesting, and then pellet guns are being used by India. And here, situation has become really pathetic because nobody, no literate person can uh, bear that guilt on his conscience while staying silent about people of occupied Kashmir. So much has been written on groundreport.com. Why Kashmiris? So Americans, and the lady which owns that website, she also works with UN. So all those who think that UN does not know what is happening there inside Kashmir, they are living in a fool's paradise. Now, my message to all those who are trying to exploit the situation by creating feelings of nationalism inside India, especially, or are trying to take advantage of religious sentiments of Hindu majority there. They will not be remembered in history as good guys. What people of the subcontinent need is their freedoms. And those freedoms cannot be achieved without the restoration of the civil and economic rights of the people here. In true sense, all those who are unemployed in India, Pakistan and Afghanistan, they are the responsibilities of their governments. There shall be unemployment allowance for them. And this issue is more serious than the nuclear war. Because people, they understand this, the complaints which I receive on daily basis. And in fact, I had to work in a British project. The project was initiated by British Consul here in Kohat. That was end to violence against women. And in that project, we were literally giving money to the females here to help raise their families, because their husbands were unemployed, and then once they are unemployed and frustrated, then they were doing, some of them are doing violence against their own women folk. So this issue is very serious. It is not only Kashmir, which is Kashmiri girls in occupied Kashmir. uh, are raped by Indian army, but Delhi, the capital of India, that is being called as rape city. Why it is so? Because large scale people are unemployed. They cannot satisfy their genuine needs through legitimate means. In simple words, they cannot enter into marriage relationships, they cannot afford to have families. And once they're frustrated and drunk, then they do what they're doing there. So we shall be very realistic. Our problem is not that war. The problem in India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan is socio-economic in nature. And that cannot be resolved through war. So all those friends, they must know that those who were asking me to not to help out Indians, I'm coming up with the logic to them that I do have unstable Afghanistan on our western frontier, and if India goes unstable, which is on a way towards instability, then Pakistan, obviously the impact of that will be far greater than anyone else can expect for Pakistan. We still have 3 million refugees, Afghan refugees here in Pakistan. And if they have started pouring in from India, our economy will be further shattered. And the problems, because we cannot manage the refugees the way Iranians are doing it, or Americans, they do. We cannot strictly restrict those people into camps. They do mix up with the society, and here, their low overstay here in Pakistan has been resulted in development of different sort of mafias and gangs. Street crime was increased. There were other problems too. And one more point which I want to make it clear to everybody, that when I say that democracy in true sense and a welfare system in a true sense of European and American model, I purely mean the system, without changing our excellent cultural values which are being cherished in the West even. Well, in lecture hall with my students, I used to talk to them when they used to say, "Sir, you want us to be Americanized." I used to tell them that, okay, I want you to be Americanized if you're a farmer. Buy a tractor for farming, use other machines, and be honest and fair as Americans are or Britishers are. You are Americanized. But if you think that you grow long here and You will come half naked in classroom, and by this way you are Americanized. I don't want that type of Americanization. Even Americans, they don't do this. If in Europe people, especially ladies, uh, they were compelled to wear insufficient clothes according to our standards here in Asia, that was because of the economic reasons. As it is the darkest part of our history, of world history, that women folk all over the globe was victim of discrimination, and the woman folk had to bear the economic disasters, the outcomes of economic disasters too. So one reason was economic, because of the short outfits. So I don't want that type of Europeanization or Americanization. I just want you to adopt all those standard procedures which are required for running a democratic setup. In federation, there shall be a check on majority rule, and that Supreme Court, having power of judicial review, can do that. It can check the laws of passed by the both houses of legislatures, and even it can check the executive orders of the presidents, of the executive heads of the states here, of the governments here in Pakistan and India. So to save the minorities from oppression of majority in a federation is always required. If you say Great Britain, they do have very high moral standards. Their constitution is even unwritten, and their prime minister resigns after every 5 years and holds new elections. It is nowhere written in the British Constitution. British Constitution is an unwritten constitution. Their whole political system is based upon political conventions. So all those who are giving me feedback at a very high level, I appreciate all that. And I think that to discuss war between India and Pakistan is a futile activity. One million and 1800 million people of Pakistan and India, they need their civil rights, their economic rights, positive changes in their political systems, and they want to live in peace. And all those who think that I can be swayed, I can get swayed in popular sentiments. Someone in both countries is trying to hide their corruption and all other atrocities against the people. They are trying to create warlike situation between India and Pakistan. So people, they are aware of all this, and the socialists or communist element from their feedback I came to know that there was a big strike last month in India, and workers, more than 1500 million workers, they came out on roads. So communist element is very happy. But I'm telling them that I don't have any personal grudge with anybody. My own conclusion is that democracy is a better way. By exploiting economic weaknesses of the people and imposing one party communist rule over them, that is abhorrent to my mind, and that will never work. It never worked in Soviet Union. It is not working elsewhere. China is opening up to the West. Even North Korea, their leader has started taking interest in US elections and has praised one of the candidates there. I'm saying all this in a good faith. Democracy paves the way for fair and healthy competition, and also in shape of a welfare system provides protection of economic rights of the people too. So that environment of healthy competition has been guaranteed within democratic setup in true sense. That's why I preach for it and plead for it rather, and I hope that all those whom are trying to create warlike situation between India and Pakistan, they must realize that I don't welcome such personalities. Even I don't mention them. They cannot be encouraged for their bad deeds. That this is cheap popularity, and I'm so though as a patriot Pakistani, whether I'm a journalist or an officer, off-duty officer, I do definitely will fight for my own country if we are being invaded. But the fact is that as a literate person, it is my duty to communicate all of you that exploitation of this sort, war hysteria, creation of war hysteria to hide your crimes against humanity inside occupied Kashmir, and the crimes against humanity which you are committing within India or in Pakistan by depriving people from their economic and civil rights, by not giving them a welfare system here, and plundering the wealth, that elderly journalist of India, he was a diplomat too, Kuldeep Nair uncle, he says in one of his articles, he had mentioned that the corruption money which is being shifted by Indian and Pakistani leaderships to Swiss banks, if we succeed to bring that money back, we can reconstruct both countries many times. He had mentioned 7 times, I don't remember exactly. So that much huge amount has been shifted to Swiss banks. And if you talk And if you insist about civil and economic rights of the people, they declare war on each other because they are in leadership, heading hereditary mafias both in India and Pakistan. And I appreciate all those who are fighting corruption, but I want them to truly do that, because to hoodwink and to befool the people once again, uh, that I cannot appreciate. I wish all of you all the best.